Hey everybody, my name is Bob Zima and welcome to the website. You're watching this video which is about my story. And the reality is there is power in everyone's story. Power in my story, power in your story. My story includes things like playing basketball with Michael Jordan, meeting Pope John Paul II, living and traveling in Europe. It also includes overcoming drug and alcohol addiction, or what comes before even overcoming, and that is becoming a full-blown drug addict and alcoholic. I have lost my financial fortune. I lost a job once, lost every penny I ever earned, ended up bankrupt, ended up homeless. Now, we weren't on the streets, but we did have to sell our house, and I moved in with my in-laws for 8 glorious months. They were incredibly gracious, but it didn't do a lot for my male ego, if you know what I mean. So I've experienced financial setback, bankruptcy and financial devastation, drug and alcohol addiction. I've even buried 2 infant children, and I've done some pretty shitty things in my marriage that nearly led to divorce. So there have been some tremendous ups, like the birth of my children. There have been some tremendous downs, like the death of my children. At the end of the day, the power of my story isn't that I played basketball with Michael Jordan. Isn't that I was with the Players Workshop of the Second City in Chicago. It isn't that I've buried 2 children or overcome drug and alcohol addiction. The power of my story is in my ability to develop perseverance, to develop character, and to move ahead. At the end of the day, folks, we're all dragged kicking and screaming to the gates of hell. The question isn't if that's going to happen, it's only a matter of when. And when you are dragged kicking and screaming to the gates of hell, the question is, do you set up shop or do you stand up, give hell's most famous resident the 1-finger salute, and head away from the gates of hell? The power of my story isn't those events. They're tragic and they're dramatic, but they're also celebratory. Playing basketball with Michael Jordan's pretty cool. Traveling throughout Europe is pretty cool. Being a performer with Chicago Second City, pretty cool. I've done some very cool things in my life, but I've also had some very difficult times. But being the father of 2 children who have died, being a former drunken addict, being a guy who was homeless and broke and penniless, those are just sad, very dramatic and powerful stories. But what's even more powerful, what drives what I do on the radio, in my blog, in my books, and in my videos, is after those events have occurred. It's how I went about healing, how I cleaned up from the shitstorms of my life, how I rebuilt, rebooted, and reinvented my life. That's the power. That's the true story. That's why you tune into my podcast, why you watch my videos, why you read my books, why you come to my live shows, why you even book me to do a keynote or a seminar. The power of story is in how you respond to stress, not why shit happened to you.